Hi guys, I thought I'd bring to you a little thing about how come the rich people don't say, Beyonce or any of these rich people care about they're starting a race war, but do they say anything about the Zeka virus? Nope.
So the late great George Carlin. I have this real moron thing I do. It's called thinking, and I tell you, I think a lot. Probably I think way too much because sometimes it's really frightening when you start connecting the dots.
Huh.
One of the dots I've connected over the last more than a decade is how every year starts out with a crisis. It doesn't matter if it's wars, if it's threat of whatever it is, but there's a crisis at the beginning of every year. And one of the crises that has been thrust upon us over the last more than a decade had to do with emerging viruses, this global threat of a pandemic. Imagine there's a pandemic coming, and it started way back with bird flu, and then came the swine flu and the West Nile virus and dengue fever, and you go down this whole list of different things.
And
that come
the
along.
rich leader for this.
This time. And
Beyonce's okay, kill them all.
Well, they were talking about
especially the white folks.
And it's spreading around the world. Even the World Health Organization was predicting there's going to be millions of people infected. It's going to be a catastrophe, all this sort of stuff. It's a great way to confuse people, get them scared, get them focused on one specific thing, and ignore all the other things that are going on. So like I said, I even fell into the Ebola craze and fearing because they make it sound so genuine and real. And then you got organizations like the World Health Organization who you're not going to question when they come out with this emerging threat. Now, the thing is that this year's new emerging threat and cause for concern is the Zeka virus. This virus, it's now in, it's in North America, it's in Hawaii, it's in most prominently in the Central America and in South America, infecting people. And it's going to have a very drastic effect on children. As some countries are now
in our future, guys.
Don't have any babies, don't get pregnant, don't have any babies for many months to come. One country is even saying for 2 years, don't have any kids. You got to think of the ramifications healthcare-wise for the countries that are being impacted.
And this is Bill Gates.
That you're going to have a generation
Zika virus.
that will be physically challenged, and you're also going to be facing a future where there could be a big pause in that general population. You go down 6, 7, 8 years down the road, and schools will certainly find that their enrollment is way down, and parents won't have the kids that they're depending on for help for whatever way. So there are real big ramifications. But I tell you, for people that are thinking about conspiracies, it's a very open idea that, let's face it, there's got to be companies out there for government still working on biological and chemical and all these warfare things that we don't like to think about. We hear about big bombs and smart bombs and robotics and drones and all these different things. But the fact is that there are many other dark things being worked on. And it's really ironic that a lot of the viruses that have broken out have infected animals, or basically our food supply. I mean, you think about the food supply, how precious it is. And when you have outbreaks of viruses that millions, tens and tens of millions of poultry were destroyed in the United States last year. You couldn't bring any poultry or egg product or anything like that into Canada from the United States because of the worry of the virus. And at the same time, you got the Ebola outbreak, which is impacting travel. I mean, there's talk about cutting off travel into certain African countries. African countries' economies were going to be devastated by that. So there's all these different implications of it. Anyway, getting back to Zika virus and how it's going to be impacting the future. I mean, Brazil has the Olympics coming up, which were already controversial in Brazil because they have such financial troubles.
Population control, guys.
And there's real issues with wages, inflation. Now, if the Zika virus expands anymore and the turnout for the Olympics is cut down, Brazil is going to face real trouble. But let's say that people still go and get infected. They're going to be carrying viruses back to their home countries, and that doesn't matter if it's in Asia, in Africa, Europe, wherever. People will be spreading the virus around. And right now we're in the winter in North America or Europe, so you don't have many mosquitoes and mosquito-borne viruses, but come summer when the mosquitoes start multiplying and breeding, you got mosquitoes all over the place. You know, we've got to think about dengue fever, bird fever. We've got to think about West Nile virus, Zeka virus. There's a Chichachanga or whatever the heck that other virus is that is also big. They're not even talking about that now. But we're facing all these viral outbreaks. And I really have to question whether they are natural or whether there isn't effort underway to make things that can control food supplies and ultimately...
Yes, that's the way it is. You guys pay attention, man. You're going to be dead soon. Population control, guys.
Bombs and mix up fertilizers into chemicals to gas people. And, you know, it's happening.
Go check out JCW Dude, okay?
Or in UK. I mean, we don't know what is going on in certain labs around the world. And I don't think we really will. But I just find it really...
See, this is the guy that came up with it.
Brought to you by the world's deadliest creature, the mosquito.
Well, there's no specific treatment for Zika virus disease, and there's no vaccine. However, we have seen that most of the cases are mild, or some of them do not even show any symptoms.
Currently, a vaccine for Zika doesn't exist, but the necessity of one could bring Bill Gates' lifelong world depopulation preoccupation one step closer to its IBM and Microsoft eugenics industrial complex vision. Zika virus, a virus spread to humans by the Aedes aegypti mosquito, the same mosquito that produces yellow fever, dengue, and chikungunya, and is found in the Americas, Africa, Asia, India, and the Pacific Islands. Symptoms in adults are mild and can last for several days to a week. Health officials are now questioning whether the virus has long-lasting neurological and muscle-weakening effects similar to Guillain-Barré syndrome. The most prevalent danger of Zika involves microcephaly, causing stunted brain development in babies. The BBC reports health officials battling the Zika virus in Brazil say as many as 100,000 people could have been infected in one city alone. About 3,500 cases of microcephaly have been identified in Brazil so far. But before we sound the alarm, there is zero evidence that the Zika or Zika virus could be causing the microcephaly outbreak.
Giant scam. I've been to this rodeo many times before with viruses and so-called diseases being caused by viruses. And in my recent article at No More Fake News, I run down the useless and deceptive laboratory tests that try to define how, for example, the Zika virus is causing babies to be born with smaller heads and damaged brains, and the science absolutely does not hold up. But what does hold up as a cause of this happening, and I believe there are multiple causes, and you need to look to Brazil, for example. You are talking about gigantic amounts of pesticide use down there. They use more pesticides in Brazil than any country in the world. Any country in the world. And many of these pesticides are banned in 22 other countries. So you're talking
there you go, guys.
highly toxic
Check it out.
substances
Watch
in the
yourself.
area
Get some
where
mosquito
they're
netting.
moving all